Can you hear me? Great, because I need you to listen as if you were standing on the edge of a cliff. There are people in your life, perhaps close to you, perhaps already dissolved into the past, whom you think you have forgiven, or whom you merely tolerate, without realizing that every minute spent with them is a subtle form of poisoning. And the most tragic part, you imitate them. You repeat their gestures. You become what you should overcome. There are types of people, traveler, who are not only harmful, they are spiritually contagious. They corrode the spirit with ideas of virtue, kindness, or justice. But what they really sow is weakness, resentment, and self-destruction. These 6 types of people, 6 archetypes of Descartes, not just external neighbors, they are also internal voices, voices you welcomed when you were fragile, when you needed to belong, when you were hurt. But the time has come to cut them off, with a knife, with a hammer. This video is not a visit to the Garden of Ideas, it's a journey through the battlefield of the soul. You will have to recognize your own participation in the values that imprison you. You will have to amputate everything that has made you functional to the herd and useless to yourself. I will not comfort you. I will not tell you that everything is fine, because if you feel exhausted, confused, stagnant, powerless, it is a sign that your spirit still pulses beneath the crust of submission. It is a good sign, a sign that you are not dead, but you are surrounded by masks that claim to be moral, empathetic, or wise, but hide forces that want only one thing: for you to give up being strong. Let us then identify these 6 poisons, crush them with clarity, and unleash the vital force that is being wasted. But know this, it will not be pleasant. It will be necessary. The first figure you must avoid, or rather, confront, is the man of resentment. He disguises himself as a moralist, a defender of the weak, a vigilante for noble causes, but his soul is bitter. His motivation is envy. He does not create, he reacts. He does not love life, he hates those who boldly affirm it. When he says, "That's unfair," what he really means is, "I can't stand that someone is stronger than me." It was this type who invented slave morality, the morality that turned weakness into virtue, obedience into sanctity, humility into dignity. You will find him in your family, on social media, inside yourself. He shows up every time you choose to criticize others' success instead of building your own. Every time you convince yourself that humility is better than greatness. Every time you justify your mediocrity with words like, "At least I'm a good person." This guy, I tell you, is the #1 enemy of a full life, because it feeds on guilt and wants you to believe that wanting more is a sin. Don't fall into this trap. The virtue of the resentful is always a mask for their impotence. Rip off that mask, with contempt, with clarity. The second dangerous type is the moral egalitarian, or as I called it in Zarathustra, the tarantula. This creature hates difference. It preaches justice, but what it wants is revenge. Its ideal is to level everyone down. It doesn't want you to rise. It wants no one to stand out. This type disguises its hatred of excellence with speeches about empathy, inclusion, and equity. But behind the love for the collective lies a fear of singularity, because the existence of a strong spirit exposes its own weakness. You recognize them when you hear phrases like, "No one is better than anyone else. The important thing is to be equal. Who do you think you are to want more?" The tarantula bites your ambition with moral poison. It makes you feel selfish for dreaming big, dangerous for thinking differently, and so, little by little, it drags you into its web: comfortable mediocrity, morally accepted anonymity. But I say to you, do not bow down to egalitarianism. Life is unequal by nature. Strength cries out for expression. The spirit burns for greatness. Do not let yourself be castrated by ideals designed to comfort the weak. Instead, become worthy of your difference. Become the one who if you have to leave everyone behind. The third type you must avoid is the most insidious, the passive nihilist. He has already given up. He lives as if nothing matters. He pretends he doesn't care. But his indifference is a form of self-pity. He doesn't rebel, he withers. He doesn't commit suicide, he anesthetizes himself. He is everywhere, in those who live on autopilot, in those who mock any ideal, in those who hide their cowardice behind intelligent skepticism. This type is the end result of the denial of life. When all values have been eroded, when all gods have died, only apathy remains. But make no mistake, the nihilist is not free. He is a slave to despair that he does not dare to name. He wakes up without purpose, lives without passion, dies without a fight. If you feel that your life is an eternal whatever, you are under the control of this type. But there is a way out. You need to create meaning, not find it, create it. You need to affirm life even without guarantees. You need to become a yes amid the collapse of no's. That is true courage. Inventing value where the world offers you only emptiness. 3 types identified. 3 masks torn off. I ask you now, how many of these forces live within you? Let's now go even deeper. You who have come this far already know that truth tastes like blood. That self-knowledge is not enlightenment, but amputation. Cutting away illusions, breaking idols, listening to the hollow sound of the certainties you inherited and which must die. Let us then move on to the next 3 types of people you must not only avoid, but extirpate as if cutting a tumor from your soul. The 4th type is the one that most deceives intellectuals, scholars, the wise of modernity, the erudite, without instinct, a man who knows everything but understands nothing. He lives off other people's ideas, repeats theories like a well-trained parrot, quotes books he has never digested. For him, life is a problem to be analyzed, not a force to be lived. He has separated the mind from the body, reason from instinct, knowledge from creation. This type proliferates in universities, on social media, in podcasts, and perhaps inside your own head. He lives in fear of the chaos of life, so he seeks shelter in cold objectivity, statistics, neutrality. But the truth, traveler, is not neutral. It is a risk, a danger, a cut. The scholar flees from instinct because he knows that there lies something he cannot control. Desire, the creative impulse, the Dionysian cry that breaks all forms. Nietzsche already said it. The degree of life in a philosophy depends on the degree of animality it contains. Where are the teeth? Where is the danger? Where is the smell of blood? The scholar has lost this. He does not think with his body. He does not feel with his thoughts. He has exchanged wisdom for erudition, and now serves the system with his veneer of criticism. He does not disturb. He does not threaten. He merely informs. Don't avoid this type. But more than that, do not become him if you know a lot but feel little. If you collect books but do not struggle with them. If you analyze life without diving into it, be careful. The scholar lives inside you, wanting to tame your spirit. Expel him, with instinct, with dance, with the courage not to know, and yet to live. The 5th type is the most treacherous, the preacher of the other world, the transmundane. He presents himself as a spiritual master, a messenger of a higher truth, one who sees beyond. But his gaze is not elevated, it is turned against the earth. He despises the body, pleasure, power. He says that true meaning lies on another plane, in another life, another heaven. And so, with sweet words and pitying eyes, he leads you away from the only thing that is real, existence here and now. This type has many names: priest, guru, spiritual coach, enlightened intellectual. But his crime is always the same. He convinces you that your pain only has meaning if it is redeemed by something external. He steals your autonomy by promising salvation. He weakens your will by saying that the ego is the enemy. He transforms your rebellion into submission, and he calls this peace, but this peace is just resignation. This heaven is just escape. The transmundane hates life because it is imperfect, unpredictable, dirty, and so he creates an ideal world where everything is pure, harmonious, and dead, because every paradise is a graveyard of the will. Remember this, every time someone tells you don't desire, don't fight, accept, transcend the ego, be wary. Life is conflict, tension, overcoming. To flee from this is to betray your nature. The truly spiritual person is not one who denies the world. It is one who affirms it with fierce intensity, who transforms pain into creation, instinct into art, will into destiny. And now, the 6th and final type, perhaps the most difficult to identify because it disguises itself as love, the professional compassionate. They are always ready to listen, comfort, welcome. They cry with you, they suffer for you, and slowly, they suck all your strength away, because their compassion is not a gift, it is an addiction. They need you weak to feel needed. This type is exalted as a saint, therapist, loving mother, eternal caregiver, but their love is a prison. They prevent you from growing, because their affection is a form of control. They fear your freedom. They fear that you will heal, because if you get up, they will lose their place. Their identity lies in being a savior, and for that, they need victims. Nietzsche does not spare this type, because they disguise their cowardice as kindness. They feign renunciation, but are driven by a twisted will to power. They do not dominate with strength, but with weakness. They keep you sick while offering themselves as a cure. They do not push you toward life. They rock you to death. Recognize him. Every time someone says, "You poor thing, you don't deserve this," don't blame yourself. It's the world's fault. Stop, breathe, and ask yourself, is this person empowering me or dragging me down? Are they helping me stand up or making me dependent on their care? Avoid this type of person. And more importantly, expel them from within yourself. Because there are times when you treat yourself like a victim, when you are too accepting, too forgiving, sabotaging yourself in the name of self-pity, disguised as self. But this love is poison. True love is the kind that demands strength, that doesn't let you sink, that pulls you up by your hair if necessary, that says, "Get up, damn it." And now that I've exposed the 6 types, I ask you, how many of them are around you? How many of them speak inside your mind? How many do you defend in the name of morality, compassion, humility? We have reached the point where analysis is no longer enough, where recognizing the enemy is no longer enough. You have to face it. You traveler, now know the 6 dangerous figures that Nietzsche invites us to avoid, not as someone who runs away, but as someone who kills. They are not just people, they are forces. Forces that deform your will, distort your perception, and reduce your power to a shadow of what it could be. And these forces, I repeat, are not just external. They speak through your inner voice. They are lodged in your superego, in your habits, in your excuses. But Nietzsche is not an exterminator of moral demons. He is an awakener of forces. So now is the time for confrontation, the time for questioning. Are you ready for it? Don't answer with words. Answer with the discomfort that begins to stir inside you. Do you recognize yourself as resentful? How many times have you sabotaged someone in your thoughts just because they had the courage you didn't have? How many times have you called yourself ethical just to hide your cowardice in the face of greatness? Have you ever been a moral tarantula? Have you ever tried to make others feel guilty for shining too brightly? Have you ever preached empathy just to stifle those who dared to live outside your playbook? Have you become a passive nihilist? How many times have you looked at your life and said, whatever? How many mornings have you woken up with no desire to create, to conquer, to assert yourself? Are you, by any chance, a scholar without instinct? Do you accumulate knowledge like someone who piles up junk? Have you lost touch with your body, with raw life, with the warm blood that pulses outside the pages of books? Have you let yourself be seduced by transcendence? How many gurus have you followed, waiting for answers that only your will can give you? How many times have you preferred to wait for a magical salvation rather than take on your tragic responsibility? And finally, have you clung to the mask of compassion? How many times have you fed on your pain just to continue being cared for? How many times has your self-pity been your most comfortable cage? Do you see now? These questions do not ask for answers. They ask for ruptures. And make no mistake, this process is violent. Because what is at stake is not just a personality makeover, it is a revolution of the spirit. Nietzsche does not want you to improve. He wants you to transform, to become someone else. Not a slightly more organized or balanced version of yourself, but a new kind of being, stronger, freer, more dangerous. And here comes the decisive moment. You can, at this very moment, do what most people do. Rationalize, argue. Not everything is so simple. Compassion also has its value. You can't live by strength alone. Yes, of course, keep telling yourself that, and keep living half a life. Keep balancing weakness with lucidity, anesthesia with criticism, cynicism with irony. You will spend your entire life managing your symptoms without ever curing the cause. But if you've made it this far and still feel some anger, then there is hope. Because anger, when purified of envy, is the harbinger of the will to power. And that is what Nietzsche wants to ignite in you. The will to affirm life without excuses. To take the world as it is, tragic, unjust, cruel, and still say, yes, I accept, I dance. Now listen, you are surrounded by a world that glorifies these 6 types. A world that is moved by resentment, celebrates egalitarianism, turns nihilism into fashion, deifies dry academics, idolizes celestial masters, and canonizes piety as the supreme virtue. This world is dying, but it will try to take you with it. There is only one way out: revolt. Not with slogans, but with attitude. Not with protests, but with creation. Affirm your difference. Embrace your desire for greatness. Claim the right to be dangerous in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your life. Because the real danger is being harmless. Harmless to those who want to tame you. Harmless to those who prefer you sick, sad, predictable. Try it. Tell someone you want to be powerful, that you want to be feared, that you want to be free even if it costs you the approval of others. Observe the shock, the fear, the attempt to correct you. Society does not tolerate the will to power, because it threatens everything that has been built to keep us obedient. But Nietzsche knew, the future belongs to those who dare to assert their instincts with lucidity, those who fall neither into the romanticism of kindness nor into the despair of nihilism. The future belongs to those who are capable of saying yes to life with all its imperfections, pains, and a BYSSES. Now, I want you to leave a sign. In the comments, an act of symbolic rebellion. Say, I recognize the poison and choose the hammer. It's not just a phrase, it's a pact, a gesture of rupture, a beginning. Now that you have seen the faces of decadence, that you have tasted the bitterness of self-deception, I want you to listen not with your ears, but with your most ancestral instinct. What are you going to do with this? Because knowledge, without action, is just another form of cowardice. Lucidity that does not tear you apart, that does not demand a gesture, or enunciation. A complete reconfiguration is just intellectual decoration. Nietzsche, if he were standing before you now, would not say, "Congratulations, you understand." He would say, "So what? Are you going to stay on your knees? Are you going to keep calling yourself a good person while hiding your noblest impulses behind civilized excuses? Are you going to continue clinging to the love that weakens you, to the knowledge that paralyzes you, to the morality that castrates you? You are addicted to weakness, addicted to belonging, addicted to being understood, and that needs to end. Not because you should become cold or insensitive, but because you need to be whole, and no one is whole while carrying within themselves parts that hate their own strength. The true Nietzschean cure is not in being cured, it lies in being set on fire by a will so intense that everything small in you begins to burn, and what is left? The one who says yes to the abyss, the one who laughs at tragedy, the one who turns pain into art. This is the kind of human being Nietzsche wants to create, and that the world fears. Now listen, the 6 dangerous types are not just psychological forces, they are also the pillars of every decadent culture. The resentful are the foundation of populist politics. The egalitarian is the hero of public morality. The passive nihilist is the functional citizen of an anesthetized society. The instinctless scholar is the ideal employee of the educational system. The transmundane is the spiritual guru of the lost masses. The compassionate is the official saint of victim culture. And what do these 6 types have in common? They all deny the will to power. They all sabotage the creative, Dionysian, life-affirming impulse. They are all afraid of what you could be if you stopped protecting yourself. So let's turn the tables. If these are the 6 you should avoid, who should you become? You should become the type who doesn't need resentment, because you have the strength to create your own values. You must become the type who loves difference because you know that your uniqueness is your greatest weapon. You must become the type who looks at nihilism and laughs because you know that emptiness is a blank canvas, not a grave. You must become the type who reads, studies, and thinks but never loses touch with instinct, with the body, with the pulse of life. You must become the kind of person who does not wait for salvation because you understand that you are the one who gives meaning to existence. And finally, you must become the kind of person who loves fiercely, who cares without diminishing themselves, who supports others without making them eternally weak, who is capable of compassion, yes, but never as a prison, always as an impulse toward greatness. And how does this begin? Not with an abstract decision, but with a real break. Something must die within you for something new to be born. The old morality, the old identity, the old affections, the old voices. You cannot become new while carrying the corpse of the old. So I want you to do an exercise now. Imagine yourself on top of a mountain. Behind you, everything you have been. Up to now, your beliefs, your traumas, your loves, your masks. In front of you, the abyss, the leap, the transmutation. You have no guarantees, You only have one question. Will you jump? If so, then stop waiting, stop hesitating, cut it off, get rid of it, break it off. Break off the idea that it's wrong to want more. Break off the fear of being hated for being strong. Break off the lie that you need to be healed by someone else. Break off the nostalgia for a childhood where you were loved for being harmless. Break with the secret desire to remain fragile so you will always be accepted. Break now, like a scream, like a dance, like a decision, and know this: you will lose things. You will lose friends. You will lose possessions. You will lose the approval of those who loved you when you were weak. But you will gain something that no system can give you: yourself. You, whole. You, dangerous. You, like thunder walking among men. And when someone asks you, who do you think you are? Answer with your eyes, with your body, with the silence of someone who no longer needs to ask permission to exist. You now know the 6 types that Nietzsche told us to avoid. But the most important thing is not who to avoid. It is who will be born when you stop running away from them now. Traveler, it is time for the final revelation, not as a mystical secret, but as the inevitable crash of a truth that has always been under your skin, waiting for you to bear hearing it. What Nietzsche wanted, in hammering out these 6 types of humans, was not to create a new list of moralisms. He doesn't want you to just avoid toxic people, as if that were enough. No, he wants you to understand that the whole problem with humanity, and your whole problem, begins when you allow these types to live inside you, and it ends when you dare to create another type, the type that doesn't yet exist. That is the real challenge. Culture wants to keep you domesticated, useful, predictable. The resentful want you to feel guilty. The tarantula wants you to apologize for being different. The nihilist wants to convince you that nothing matters. The scholar wants you to stick to theory. The transmundane wants to promise you heaven so you'll accept hell. The childishly compassionate want you to be proud of your pain. But Nietzsche whispers, what if you said yes to life, not as it should be, but as it is? This yes is not cheap optimism. It is a Dionysian cry. It is accepting existence as an eternal return. It is loving what was, what is, and what always will be, with all its tragedy, violence, and sublimity. Nietzsche wants the impossible from you, that you become the one who creates new values, the one who not only breaks chains, but forges new paths, the one who ceases to be a child of morality and becomes the father of his own ethics. This type has a name, but it is not a label. It is a direction. The Bermensch, not a superhero, not a tyrant, but the human who has surpassed himself, the one who has overcome the 6 poisons, who has absorbed them, transformed them, transmuted them into creative power. The Bermensch does not need to be accepted. He does not need to be understood. He is the exception that proves the rule. He is the danger that has become beauty. He is the wound that has become strength. You won't become this tomorrow. Not by reading more, not by repeating pretty phrases, but you can start now, with a single choice, to no longer live as you did before. Choose to rise, even if no one rises with you. Choose tragic freedom over comfortable security. Choose the abyss, and learn to dance on its edge. And if someone tries to stop you, if someone says you've changed, that you're strange, cold, selfish, smile, because that's exactly what needs to happen. You need to become strange to the world, to finally become familiar to yourself. Now say in the comments, I will no longer be a temple for the weak. I will be the fire that purifies them. This is your last chance to commit to transformation. Not to me, not to Nietzsche, but to the person you could have been and still can be, if you have the courage to destroy yourself and recreate yourself. This is not the end of the journey. It is the birth of the Creator, and creation begins now. Final challenge: share this video with someone you love and say, I don't want you to understand me. I want you to wake up. Live with intensity. Love dangerously. Choose courageously. Nietzsche bids you farewell, now not with a goodbye, but with a sentence: be true to the earth, and make it your stage of greatness.